Hello and welcome to ET Auto Big Bite. I'm joined by Mr. Anmol Jain, Managing Director, Lumex Industries or Lumex Auto Technology, a company which has leading market share in automotive lighting. But now they're expanding into automotive electronics and connected because that's the future. Welcome to ET Auto Anmol. Can you tell us about your rigorous, try to expand into communication and electronics? What kind of future do you see? Because you are traditionally a lighting player.
So if you see the future, we feel that electronics and plastics would play a very important role in the future of the automobile architecture. We have been a lighting company, and if you see, lighting came from a metal product to a plastic product, and now going forward from a plastic is going to an electronic product. So that's why our core as Lumax rests in plastic and electronics, and we want to expand this with the global partnerships we have today, and in future tie up with more global partners to try and bring to our customers a better value added product in electronics and plastics. So we signed a new joint venture into the space of antenna systems, and the objective is that the antenna systems will become a more vital part in vehicle communication, wireless technology, and also having real-time interface as well as information sharing to the driver. So the antenna is an essential part of the vehicle, and we feel that going forward, it should add a lot of value to the group. We will be the first in India to localize this technology.
You have about 10 joint ventures, if I'm not wrong, and some are as old as, I think, 2 decades old also? 34 years old. And with your older partner also, you are trying to expand into electronics. You talked about a company you have signed a joint venture that is from Spain again. So right now, what percentage of your revenue comes from lighting, and going forward, how do you see the breakup to be?
So today, almost 65% of the group revenues comes from automotive lighting. We are the market leaders with about 50% market share. About 33% or 1/3 of the group revenues comes from non-lighting. Going forward, I personally feel that electronics and plastics, we will much aggressively go into it. Today's joint venture was with a Japanese company, Yokowo, for the antenna systems. With Stanley, we enjoy a 34-year-old relation. We're expanding that relationship beyond lighting to include electronic parts as well as HVAC panels. Going forward in the next, let's say, 5 to 7 years, I would not be surprised if the group revenue, 50% of it comes from non-automotive lighting.
What would be your total revenue by then, and what is now?
So right now the group revenue is about 3,500 crores. We expect that in the next 5 to 6 years, we should double this revenue pie to become a $1 billion enterprise, or roughly about 7,000 crores.
Apart from lighting, which are the other area? You said that 65% comes from automotive lighting. What are the other area that you are already operating?
So we have 7 domains as a group, and we have almost 15 product lines. We are also the market leaders in gear shifter systems with almost a 60-65% market share. So in transmissions, we do gear shifters, and we also do shift towers, which is a transmission product. We also do a lot of plastic products, right from two-wheelers as well as some four-wheeler kinematic plastics, which are more technologically value addition plastics. In metallics, we do a lot of chassis parts and seat frames. Of course, we do lighting, and in electronics, we do a lot of parts like sensors, oxygen sensors, telematics. Today, we did the antenna systems, and also as a part of emission, we do a lot of air intake systems and 3D ducts. And going forward, we will also get into urea tanks as a part of the BS6 regulation.
So clearly, your focus looks like BS6 and communication system. Going forward, how much of the entire pie you expect to be coming from electronics and the BS6 systems that you have developed?
So yes, as a part of the regulation, BS6 is throwing a lot of opportunities in electronics. And I also feel that going forward, because of the CAFE norms, a lot of plastics play will come into play because of lightweighting and fuel efficiency norms. So these two are the strategic intent and drivers for us. And going forward, I feel that the revenue from electronics and plastics should be at least 1/3 of the group revenue, if not more.
You talked about achieving $1 billion top line. Can you tell us what would be the key driver? How much you expect to get revenue from the new JVs that you have signed in communication and electronics area?
So we expect that to get to that milestone of $1 billion enterprise from 3,500, we would be pumping in close to about 1,000 crores of investment over the next 5-6 years. And these investments would primarily go towards electronics and plastics, and not only just joint ventures and modernization and upgradation and capacity building of the current product lines, but also perhaps through inorganic growth on acquisitions, but within the domain of plastics and electronics.
Are you looking aggressively in terms of inorganic? Because we have not seen Lumax very active in that domain. We have a lot of Indian company has made successful, few have been not so good experience in acquisition. What are the criteria that you are looking at when you are assessing a company? Are you assessing right now some companies for inorganic growth?
So first and foremost, Lumax does not have mergers and acquisition in its DNA. We are largely a company which tries to bring global partnerships to the Indian shores to bring value-added products, right technology at the right price points for our OEM customers. That's been the business model of Lumax. We are currently evaluating an acquisition opportunity, and perhaps soon enough we would be able to conclude that. But we are always evaluating opportunities and potentials to grow forward for new product lines, be it inorganic or the joint venture route.
The one you are talking about, you'll be closing soon in terms of acquisition. Can you tell us a bit more about it? Which domain is it? Is it an Indian company or a European company? Can you give us some detail?
So I would not be able to share too much because of the non-disclosure, but it is a company within India, and it would be within the plastics domain, and it would add strategic value to the group to try and make us stronger in certain segments where today the group can add a lot of penetration into.
What kind of size of this company is? How much you will be putting in for this acquisition?
So we would be pumping in anywhere between, let's say, 150 to 200 crores. And over the next 3 to 5 years, we see that we should be able to have a sizable revenue with a healthy margin contributing to the group.
You talked about a joint venture that you have signed recently. When are you going to start the production? What is it going to be, a 50-50 deal? Where are you acquiring land, and how soon you can start the production, and what is the potential production that you're looking at?
So today's joint venture we signed is a 50-50 joint venture with Yokowo of Japan for antenna systems. We are currently evaluating, but we should be able to produce somewhere in Haryana. And we will probably be up and running in SOP somewhere in FY21. We are currently engaged with customers to try and see how, in a phased manner, we can bring this product locally manufactured, and then a deeper localization in India itself.
How much will you be investing, and which are the products you are making?
So it will be antenna systems to go with, and we should be able to invest about 225 crores in the first phase over the next 3 years or so.
What happened to your joint venture with Ituran? When are we going to see the production starting?
So Ituran, we have already started a bit of pilot lot supplies to customers. But I believe in the next financial year, we should get the revenue stream going on a P&L.
This has not been a great year. This is probably one of the most prolonged slowdown that we have seen. What is your current capacity utilization?
So currently our capacity utilization across product lines would differ, but as a generic average, I would say it would be close to about 60-65%. Yes, it's been a tough year, challenging year, but again, it's not the first time we have seen a slowdown in the Indian automotive industry. It has been a prolonged slowdown, but I believe that Lumax always sees the optimistic things even in a slowdown. We've done a lot of correction internally, and I'm happy to share that with the team effort, even though our top line has degrown by, let's say, 12 to 14% year on year on a 9-month basis, our operating margin have actually improved by almost 60 to 70 basis points. Well, that's a great achievement in a slowdown if you can improve your profitability.
Which is the worst hit? You said average 60 to 65%. Which area you are facing the biggest hit and why?
Clearly, wherever you are the leader and you have all the OEMs as your customers, you will face the most. So lighting would be the perhaps most hit, and that's the reason. But I think all the other products are also hit, but maybe not to that extent.
Any specific to segment? Any segment?
I think largely we were, as Lumax, almost close to 60% we do is in passenger cars, and almost 30% is in two-wheelers. So the most hit was probably the passenger car, but also the two-wheeler, because it took a beating and because of the volumes, it has impacted the group revenues.
You have been exploring a lot of exports opportunity, if I'm not wrong. What's there? What's update there?
So primarily Lumax focuses on the Indian market. Our strategy has been to get global technologies and global partners for the Indian market, for the Indian OEM. Exports has been a part of our strategy. We also currently do some exports to North America as well as Western Europe, but only about 6 to 8% of our group revenues is coming from direct exports. And we plan to peg it at about 10%. So about 10% group revenues comes from exports, 10% aftermarket, and 80% should come from domestic OEMs in the long run.
By when?
This would be in the next 3 years or so.
Thank you so much for talking to ET Autonomous. Thank you.
Very much.